It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome to a Friday. We made it. Woohoo! You know, you and I were just before the top of the hour looking at the Peggy Noonan column, and I hadn't read a column from her or looked at it. I mean, I've read a column for her, but not on the air. And you and I go back to when it was 6 months, probably, Biden being in office, and she said the perception is everything is broken. Mm-hmm. And we went, wow. I mean, you look at it here we are 6 months before an election, and it's like, okay, everything really seems, seems broken. Number one, with inflation. Number two, it's not just inflation, but it's, it's the denial that, let me put it this way. It is the lecturing of the American public of why they don't recognize the parts of the economy that the public is not disputing. Because the public is not disputing that they can get a job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The problem is it doesn't matter if they have a job. Mm-hmm. They still can't keep up with the prices that come from government spending. Mm-hmm. And that's the predicament that, Biden has there. And so every time they go out and go, we just don't understand, and we have to educate the people that the economy is doing great, you're basically spitting at people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say spitting because you get that reaction. If somebody spit on you, you're like, what the hell? You talk about something that would infuriate any person if somebody spits on you. Yeah. It's viewed as completely and totally degrading. Well, when you're hurting every single day, and it's been 3 years, and you've been getting pounded by inflation, and you're like, okay, well, what are they saying about the inflation? And they're saying, when they go, the economy's great, and they don't mention inflation, they're like, they're lying. They're lying to me. I'm getting killed, and they're just lying. They're just saying, what's wrong with you? Why can't you see how great it is?
Yeah.
And they're going, well, we're not counting inflation.
Yeah.
Well,
by the way, I think that's the perfect analogy of it's like someone spitting on you, which, by the way, is the main reason we have glass between us and the production crew. And it's degrading. We've talked about that when the economy, when the inflation numbers come out and any economic report comes out, and it's fine, it's great, look at it, it's great. That they actually tried to get away with, for a minute, people like Gavin Newsom just tried to do. Look, people are spending more money. No, everybody's spending more money because of inflation. And it's when we see those reports, when they come out, it's after the American people, after the consumers already paid for all that stuff. They already know what the April numbers are. They already know right now. They already know so far what the first 10 days of May are like on inflation, and it is like spitting on them. It's a slap in the face when they try and tell them, hey, you don't know how good it is. You're too stupid to see how good the economy is.
And so that's just one thing, the economy. When you look at that, and I was reading, where only 4% of people that are retired or said they live the dream, but most are content. Mm-hmm. But the biggest worry is we're on limited incomes. What's going to happen to the stock market? What's going to happen to our investments? Mm-hmm. So people are thinking about that. Young people are thinking we can't get a start.
Yeah,
inflation is killing us. We can't get a home. Right. We can't afford a vehicle. And meanwhile, the people in power are saying everything's fine. Yeah, everything's fine.
It's all great. It's all great.
It's all great. Why can't you
what's wrong
recognize
with
it?
you?
So people are furious at that. We go back to just a couple of weeks ago when it was Roy Teixeira and then Douglas Schoen from thehill.com, both Democrat operatives, who were saying on, for example, that if Biden wants to win, the Democrats want to win, they've got to become, and it was actually used, I forgot which one used it. They've got to become more MAGA on the issues. And you and I looked at each other and went, now somebody must have slipped us a Mickey or whatever gets you really buzzed or makes you hallucinate, because we just saw Democratic consultants advising that Biden and other Democrats need to become more MAGA on the issues. We're like, what world are we in? Maybe the alien, maybe the shadow of the alien is really an alien, and they are controlling our minds, because we're in a completely total different universe. But listen to this here. I'm going to play this audio cut. This is Fareed Zakaria from CNN, a Democrat, little Democrat, far left, right? Yeah. Listen to this interview he just did on immigration. Here we go.
All right. System is broken. And Biden needs to confront that and say, we're going to have to reform the whole system. I would wish he'd do something much more extreme, like say the old asylum system is dead. No one is coming in through that process. You have to apply from your home country.
Which was a Trump policy.
Which was a Trump, and also the Mexico, you have to be in Mexico to apply. I think that's all correct.
So strategically, you think that if Biden would tack towards Trump policies, he would have actually a better political chance?
And it's also the right policy, because the old asylum system is being gamed by millions of people.
That's on PBS, and that's one of the most loyal Democrats in the media over the last 20 years.
Look, the old asylum policy isn't being gamed by millions of people. It has been changed to allow them to use it in a way that is not by design in terms of how the laws were created.
But you've got PBS and you've got a Democrat saying that Biden needs, and she said,
needs to be more like Trump.
Needs to be more like Trump
on the border.
And you and I said when after those two articles came out, when we went, wow. And then I looked at you a couple of weekends ago. We came in and I said, is it just me, or does it seem like with this number of polls out there that are now using Trump's economy? I said, Trump's name is no longer toxic in itself as it used to be, because if you said, well, the economy before, or if you talked about policies that Trump was for, you would get the majority of people that would agree with it. But if you put Trump's name in, they wouldn't agree with it anymore.
Right.
That's disappeared.
That's something that I was alluding to, by the way, earlier when we talked about someone made the comment that there is no pro-Biden coalition, but there is an anti-Trump coalition, not to the extent of the past anymore. No. His name is not as toxic as it once was. At least doesn't have the same number of people jumping on to that.
No, but there is. This is the one thing that was brought up last week. There's more never Bideners than never Trumpers right now.
Jon Stewart made that point earlier this week.
But the polling actually showed that isn't being talked about. There's a huge number of the majority of the Democratic Party voter does not want Biden to run. I don't know how much more you could get, anti-Biden, but everything that's going on right now. So you look at, you look at, the border. You look at, and everybody knows. I mean, he's the third Democrat in the last couple of weeks on the border saying Biden's got to beat Trump on the border. I mean, think about that. Think of where we. I just sounded like Independent Bob there. Think about that. And so you've got that. People see their electricity prices going up. People now know that their taxpayer dollars are going to build electric vehicles. Newsom is out there. Newsom is like, Politico had the article on him. He's out there promoting basically, you're going to lose your gasoline vehicle, and I'm proud to tell you you're going to lose your gasoline vehicle. Yeah. You're going to pay a heck of a lot more for an EV. Cost of electricity is going to be up. Just deal with it. Right. And it's like, this is where these liberal states are going, and there are consequences to that, because as we see, everything is now hitting reality. And you see on the border, it's hitting reality when you've got Democrats saying that Biden and the Democrats need to be more like Trump on the border. Did you ever think, you go back 5 years ago, did you ever think that would be said in your lifetime by a number of Democrats and lifelong Democrats that would be said any time in your lifetime.
No.
I would have said no.
No.
And that's how quickly things change, because you look at that perception and it looks like everything's out of control. You look at electricity prices that are going up, and all your prices are going up. And then you get to the whole thing of Biden talking about college loans, and all of a sudden we see what's happening on college campuses, where you have somebody like Bill Maher come out and say, why the hell should we, to the taxpayer, be forgiving college loans to basically give indoctrination to colleges that wish to make their students Jew haters? That's what he said.
Right.
That's Bill. He's another loyal, lifelong liberal Democrat. And all of that gives the impression that everything is out of control. So you can pick. People say, well, it's one issue. It's not one issue. It's all the issues combined where it all seems like it's out of control, but it's out of control. And this is why we tell the Republicans, please start using this. The Democrats and the President Biden and the Democrats can't and will not fix the problems that we face today, because they caused the problems. That, to me, is the final thing that Republicans have to sell. They haven't done that yet, but I believe they need to sell it. And then you go to what's happened over the last couple of days. You can't win this argument. Here's Senator Cotton talking about, Biden abandoning Israel and abandoning, again, our the hostages.
Right.
But the fact is, you actually have a president that's anti-American, pro-terrorist. Just amazing. I mean, wow. and actually enabling the funding of terrorists who have attacked hundreds of times military installations around the globe since October 7th. And Biden has enabled the funding of that, and now he wishes to cut off our ally after the Democrats went crazy about funding Ukraine and Israel.
Right.
You got the money, and then the Biden goes, oh, sorry, nope. We're not going to give you the precision missiles that you need to complete the job that will actually get you fewer civilians killed. We're going to make it so you got to go door to door and make this thing as bloody as possible. Why would you do that? You claim you care about the Palestinians. He doesn't give a damn about the Palestinians, doesn't give a damn about the American hostages or the Israeli hostages. He only is thinking in the moment, I need to be an anti-Semite. I need to be what my party is, which is a bunch of anti-Semites. We hate Jews, we hate Israel, and we're pro-terrorist.
Yep.
We don't want them around. There's no other reason for him to be doing what he is doing, because it doesn't make any tactical sense at all. No, and here's Tom Cotton talking about it yesterday, and I asked the question on this issue, how does he win? I'm not talking Tom Cotton, the president. How does he win? He can't win on it. Here's Cotton.
Plain what we suspected all along. Joe Biden's de facto position is for a Hamas victory over Israel. Israel's goal is simple. Rescue the hostages, including American hostages, and destroy Hamas to get justice for the worst atrocity against Jews since World War II and to prevent the next atrocity. Hamas's goal is also simple: survive. Hamas's leaders and its last 4 battalions are holed up in Rafah, so Israel has to defeat Hamas in Rafah to win. Hamas wins if it survives in Rafah. And Joe Biden has threatened to withhold weapons from Israel for fighting in Rafah. Therefore, Joe Biden objectively favors a Hamas victory over Israel.
He's pro-terrorist. How do you win that argument?
You're not going to win it.
You can't win it. And the last one is the one that sent the panel on MSNBC through the roof. People believe that Donald Trump, by a big margin, will protect democracy more than Biden. That just killed them. But again, that's because the people have looked. I mean, we've seen the polling. People aren't stupid. They look at the charges from Bragg. They look at what's going on. They see the two-tier system of justice, and it's so obvious what the Democrats are doing, but they live in their bubble, and they don't even see it. And they're shocked. How can people think that because look at everything Biden's doing. It's right in front of your face. Just got to open your eyes.
Yeah, it's and every single day, it's like he's working hard to prove how radical he is.
Yeah,
I mean he's it's so far gone. It's like a campaign to prove how radical he can be.
And I think sort of the fatalism of the Democrats right now is, remember a month ago, 3 weeks ago, Biden out there, the campaign. We're out here campaigning. Donald Trump is stuck in a trial for 34 felonies, and they're just completely joyful. And they're like, what the hell? If Biden is losing numbers and he's out campaigning and Trump is campaigning better from the outside the courtroom, because Biden is so inept and the Democrats are so inept, we can't win. And that you've heard that now over the last 3 or 4 days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's a growing sentiment.
Growing sentiment that the media sees happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Lawmakers working on the Farm Bill are looking at whether or not there should be some sort of permanent disaster program for farmers that would pick up where crop insurance leaves off.
I know there's been a lot of interest on the Hill about what a permanent disaster program would look like.
Steve Peterson helps run the USDA's Farm Service Agency. He told visiting farm broadcasters that there are a number of ideas being discussed by lawmakers. Most revolve around the idea of crop insurance as the main emergency disaster program.
But there's always going to be those gaps where either for an underserved producer, they can't afford maybe the higher levels of insurance or coverage that they need. And so an emergency disaster program that could be more responsive could be available. So it's the debate around permanent risk management tool that is offered by crop insurance versus a supplemental program that steps in for gaps.
Or some combination of the two. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. One of the things that we have said, and this goes back to about a month ago when Biden allowed the administration allowed that Security Council bill, to go through on Israel, and they abstained from the vote. And we said, "My God!" I said they just abandoned the American hostages,
right,
and betrayed the American hostages and the Israeli hostages. And we have said, at that point is when we started saying he's pro-terrorist. And after, yesterday or 2 days ago, Tom Cotton, you now have everybody saying he is pro-Hamas, he's pro-terrorist. He's anti-Semitic, he's pro-terrorist. This doesn't accomplish anything except make it more bloody. By withholding these weapons, you have less precision, which means more civilians die. You're only doing it because you're pro-terrorist. You wish somehow to extend or hope that Hamas lives on. There is no other reason. Why are you enabling? And we talked about this when he was enabling Iran, the same thing. We said that's a pro-terrorist position.
Yep.
Well, now there's more Republicans coming out with it every day, and Democrats can't defend him. I just wonder how this will affect a number of people. I'm struck by Jonah Goldberg, who was as never Trumper as you can get it, when he said, it's anecdotal, but people in his circle, all never Trumpers, are going, can't vote for Biden, can't vote for Biden, can't vote for Biden.
Right.
Because he's never seen the never Trumpers so upset at Biden and even considering Trump now.
Bringing on the chaos. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So as we're being 6 months out from the election, as we continue here now, I mean the what were the advantages the Democrats had was the Trump name, right?
That was it.
And the Trump was an authoritarian that wanted to end democracy.
Yeah, that's how they positioned.
That was what they positioned. They really didn't. They couldn't hit him on the issues. You can't hit Trump anymore. You used to be able to hit Trump when he was in office on illegal immigration, right? Biden stopped that. You can't do it anymore. Now Democrats are coming out and saying Biden needs to be blatantly just yesterday or the day before, whenever Fareed Zakaria was on PBS, and they said, so he has to be. They weren't shocked. Like, it wasn't even like, what? You're saying Biden has to be like Trump on the border?
No, it was like a very normal discussion,
right? Like, oh no, he's got to be more like Trump on it. And the column by Roy Teixeira, Douglas Schoen, both Democrat consultants. Biden needs to be more MAGA. I mean, that's mind-boggling articles that you just can't imagine that they would exist. And so then this article, MSNBC panel cannot make sense of a new poll showing Americans think Biden is a bigger threat to democracy. That has to fry their brains because that's been their major focus. That's where they said, boom, we've got him.
Right.
And then they were so joyful a month ago when all these, after the civil suit. But then people saw the amount and they said, okay, where's the damage? Where's the fraud? What's going on? People are paying attention and go, well, I don't understand the case here. Where's the fraud that was committed? Well, nobody was hurt. There is no fraud.
Who filed the complaint? Where are the victims?
Yeah, you're making this up. This thing's going to be over. What was it? How much? 450 million. Are you kidding me? And you go, well, that's unfair. And that's when people started thinking, okay, this isn't right here, because if they can do this, if this becomes fraud, then my God, as we have brought up, MSRP in cars is fraud. And so they're just making stuff up as they go along. And then the Fonnie Willis debacle with the judge and everything else. And people went, oh, my God, what in the hell is this? And then it was the next case, this, the Bragg case, which was the weakest of them all. Yeah. And people went, well, my God, what in the hell is this? And everybody's asking, what's the crime? You're 4 weeks into a trial, not 3, because jury selection was the first week.
Right.
But you're 4 weeks into it. What is the precise crime? Well, what we think it is. No, it's not what you think it is. What is the prosecution stating to the judge, and what does everybody acknowledge the crime actually is? What did he do that violates what part of the law? Connect the dots, and they can't do it. And people are finally looking at this going, well, my God, this is lawfare that's being used here. And when you have, this is the MSNBC panel grew bewildered. A PBS NewsHour NPR Marist poll found, look at this, 53% of independents believe Biden's second term will weaken America, while 42% believe Trump would further harm democracy. They found it shocking. I can't make sense of the number, said political analyst Susan DePerchio. I wish I could have some really good insight, but I don't know. If it's hang on here, whether it's an outlier or not, because the other numbers of independents are going in the right direction. She appeared to blame the media for not airing. Look at this. She appeared to blame the media for not airing Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's trial on television for people's disinterest in the case and belief that Biden is a bigger threat to democracy. Oh, then those polls came out. The polls about the trials of Trump. 57 to 43.
Yeah.
That's all Americans believe it's political.
Right.
Those numbers are mind-boggling. People are seeing this. We talked about this, all started with the January 6th committee, where immediately people recognize the fact this isn't a fair process going on here. You're not allowing the defense at all to bring in, to cross-examine the witnesses or the evidence. You can't do that. You can't make those claims. And as people start paying attention, they look at it and they go, my God, it's the Democrats. and then you see the executive orders, everything from COVID. You think about COVID and the mandates that were led by Democrats. You saw, what's his name, Cuomo out there, yesterday, sort of a mea culpa. Well, we got this wrong, and 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 we got this wrong. No, you took a side, and you didn't know whether it was true.
Right, and it wasn't necessary for you to do what you did then, and you know that. You knew that then.
And by trying to say that all the rules and mandates were voluntary was an outright lie. And so people,
that's a joke.
So people look at COVID, they look at everything that went on and who was supporting it and who the hypocrites were all the way through and what the truth that's now coming out and who was trying to hide it. And then you think about it, the censoring that Democrats were attempting to do. Everything. I mean, it's a tsunami of anti-democratic positions and policies implemented that the Democrats have attempted to do. And then let's throw another one in. We could go all day on it. Trump, they're like, insurrection. Where's the charge? Right? Where's the charge?
Right.
There is no charge. The states that attempted to take Trump off the ballot. 9-0 Supreme Court. Sorry, what you're doing, Democrats, is unconstitutional. Replace the entire court. Everybody.
Right.
And people start thinking, they're going, well, maybe you guys are the ones that aren't actually promoting democracy. Isn't it your guy? Didn't the Supreme Court say you can't do the college loan thing? He's still continuing to do it. Didn't the Supreme Court stomp out the vaccine mandate? All these things that you guys were doing was unconstitutional, and if it was one thing or two things, but it's every single thing that the public is now seeing, and it's having the opposite blowback effect. And then you say, what does Biden do to correct it? That's why this fatalism is coming in right now, because here's a question. Normally, you and I have been confident to say, no, he's going to have to reverse this because the public pressure is going to be too much. I'll wait to see by next week. But I think that the Republicans today are, as you saw yesterday, going to be pounding on the fact that the president of the United States is pro-Hamas, is pro-terrorist, because that's what you're seeing now. Those words are being used. Well, either you accept it based on the evidence, or you're in denial. Because this isn't hard for people to figure out, especially with this succession of things that have come down that are just so negative for Biden to begin with.
The interview with Aaron Burnett, you can't possibly go back and say, well, we decided, not that we decided, the approach would be, in our ongoing communications with Israeli leadership, we came to an agreement of how these weapons would be used and told them we would closely monitor and blah, 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 in this effort to walk this back. How do you make that work? How do you make it? Because I thought about that, actually. I thought, this is so bad. Does Biden, does the Biden team, does the administration, do they look to reverse this? And how do you reverse it? How do you walk this back and go, no, we talked with our friends in Israel and they agreed it would be blah, blah, as if Biden was grappling or having some meaningful conversation with Netanyahu. Was being thoughtful about it.
I think you just hit it right there. That's the only thing that they can do. And then when they're challenged on it that isn't true, they'll just change the topic and say we disagree. And Biden's not going to be out there. And Karine Jean-Pierre,
it's a complicated thing, and blah blah blah. There are no. It's not this or that, and it's not. And which is exactly what they've done on everything else, because the numbers show it. You've got Democrats and never Trumpers this week that are in a state of shock.
Freaked out by it.
They are absolutely scrambling,
and
wondering how in the world do you salvage any of this?
Then if Biden walks it back, and Hamas is defeated over the next couple of months before the convention,
right?
There's hell to pay for the far left for that one to Biden.
Oh, that's it. Because that right there will fortify my question as to whether or not there will be a convention, because you get the far left, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist, anti-Semite protester there in Chicago, and I think they would find it nearly impossible, if not impossible altogether, to have a convention.
Well, when it's been broken down about the weapons that won't be sent, and these are very, very precise GPS munitions that can target within 10 feet, and it means you're going to have much more door-to-door combat and explosives that aren't that accurate.
Right.
So you're going to have an extremely bloody war because of it. The Republicans will take advantage of it big time to point out how the president, how everything failed, and he did it just because he's pro-terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
How do you argue that? How do you argue that he is not?
Right. Yeah.
And where does that go? Because, I don't take any pleasure in calling anybody that name, but by his behavior, by taking the sanctions off Iran, which we said was going to fund. We knew what it was going to go. We knew it was going to fund it after Trump did it. And the thing is, though, even on that, the person whose policies he's reversed was Trump. On all these things, that's the thing. That's a unique thing about this election.
Right.
Is that everything... That's why people are looking at Trump, because Biden reversed everything that Trump did, and it's failed miserably.
Yeah.
So people go, well, that's the guy. We want his policies back. So Trump, who initially 6 months ago was toxic as could be.
Yeah.
Because people didn't want to hear about the issues. Well, now that everything is falling apart and we're getting closer to the election, and then people see the lawfare against Trump, they're going, well, wait a minute. You guys are the ones that are anti-democratic.
Yep.
The Democratic Party is the anti-democratic party because, hey, if anti-racism can be racism and racism is anti-racism,
well,
and feminism is misogyny. I mean,
yeah, and two, how many are wondering now, we look at Michael Rappaport, kind of getting the whole wake-up thing of, wow, look at all the lies I was told by the Democrats, and look at the chaos they've caused and what they've created, and totally anti-Biden now, someone who was squarely on the far left before. But how many people are looking at that and then asking the question, why are they so afraid of Trump? What is it that Trump actually did? Outside of his words, what did he actually do as a president? What did he, if you're going through that and you're, kind of getting the wake-up call yourself going, wait a minute, hold on a second. Why are the Democrats doing this, using every bit of their power to go after him legally and shut him down? What are they afraid of?
And remember, a lifelong far-left liberal, he was using every slur in the book, swear word in the book to describe Biden. You notice it's the Democrats that have really left and looked at the censorship, whether it was the Twitter files or anything else, they are furious. They are livid. They seem to be more emotionally furious at Biden even than a lot of Republicans. They're just livid. 866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. One of the best things that you and I saw yesterday, and he was cursing in it, so we can't play it, was James Carville, who just is, he has no words. Trump's further ahead than ever before. Everything's effed and blankety blank, and you can do podcasts, and you can do this, and nothing seems to make it. Just throws up his hand and walks off in front of the camera, walks right out of the camera view. It's hilarious. Say, maybe you should ask your wife. Are they still married?
I haven't heard from her. Should we check on her?
She works for a publisher. She's, she changed to libertarian early in 2016.
Yeah. All right.
So, but
but he's right. Nothing is working because, well, Biden is incompetent and he's destroying everything.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.